Yeah, hi there, Fong. This is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons. And you're one of my online TOEFL students, and it looks like today you have completed 3 different independent speaking practice tests. And I'm going to give you feedback on each one of those tests right now.
The most important event in my country is the campaign for presidential election. The campaign happens every 4 years. It is important because the president is head of American executive and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. First, the president is chief executive of the country. He signs all the laws and creates the foreign policy. For example, thanks to the program Help You Keep Home of President Obama, thousands of people can keep their homes from foreclosure. Also, he is a commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Not only he had the power over the military, but he had the authority to deploy the armed forces at his discretion.
Okay, let's listen to it one more time.
The most important event in my country is the campaign for presidential election.
So the campaign, you want to say for the presidential election, the campaign for the presidential election. Now the problem here is, what is the news event and who wrote it? Are they writing about the debate that President Obama had with Mitt Romney last week? Is it about a speech that Barack Obama gave at one of his fundraising events? So you want to make sure that you exactly explain what the news event is first before you get into why it is important.
Campaign happens every 4 years. It is important because
So a campaign, I would say a campaign which happens every 4 years is important.
President is head of American executive and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
So he's the commander, I would put stress on the second, commander-in-chief of the armed. You're not pronouncing the R, armed forces.
First, the president is chief executive of the country.
He's the chief executive of the country.
Has all the laws and creates the foreign policy.
But here's what I'm not sure about. What is the news event that you're talking about? This has to be something that you've read about. You have to say something like, according to the article I read, or according to the news event on TV. You know, you have to almost use that. This one's requiring you to use an outside source to help you express your idea, and I don't really see you doing that in this speech.
Example, thanks to the program Help You Keep Home of President Obama, thousands of people can keep their homes from foreclosure. Also, he is a commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Not only he had the power over the military, but he had the authority to deploy the armed forces.
So I would say the authority. Make sure your tongue is in between your teeth when you say authority.
At his discretion.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think the problem is, in terms of the news event, I don't think you have really answered the question. You said the presidential campaign, it is a news event, but when you use event, it's singular. You have to refer to some specific aspect of the presidential campaign, not just why the president is important. We already know that. The question is, why is the news event important? So I don't think that you have really answered this question. So let me take a look at how you might score here. I think you're going to be in the 2 range on this one. I'm going to say 2.5 out of 4, 19 points out of 30. I think the biggest problem is you're simply not addressing the task in the way it should be addressed. You have some problems in your delivery, and I think the organization of the speech needs to be better connected to the purpose of the speech, which is why I'm giving you the score that I am right now. All right? Okay, let's move on. Let's go to the second one. The second question is, your friends are the most important influence in your life. Do you agree or disagree with this statement?
In my opinion, I agree that my friends are the most important influence in my life because of the support and the camaraderie. First, my friends support me a lot. Whenever I need help, they are always willing to help me. For example, I make a big progress in English thanks to my friend Brian, my English tutor. In addition to supporting me in English, the camaraderie gives us a like. Indeed, we used to have the same interests. For example, my friend Brian wants to become a pharmacist, and so do I.
Okay, let's go back and listen to it one more time, and I'll kind of break it up into smaller parts.
In my opinion, I agree that my friends are the most important influence in my life.
Okay, it was good. It's a good topic statement. You agree with the statement. Your pronunciation a little bit too slow. A little bit. But you want to blend a little more. You want to work on your pausing a little more. Your thought groups are maybe 2 or 3 words, but a good thought group is probably 4 to 5 words, or 4 to 5 stress words, I should say. Now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about when I'm talking about thought groups, go to lesson 41 through 44 in pronunciation, and I tell you a little bit about what thought groups are and how you want to use this when you're speaking.
Because of the support and the camaraderie. First,
Okay, so support and camaraderie. Camaraderie, good vocabulary word. Wow, and you pronounced it pretty accurately.
friends support me a lot. Whenever I need help,
So you have
they
your
are
2 key
always
points.
willing to help me. For example, I make a big progress in English thanks to my friend Brian.
Good examples. You made big progress in, how about improving your English with the help of my English tutor, Brian.
My English tutor, in addition to supporting me in English, the camaraderie gives us a
Okay, let's check your grammar one more time. This is a tricky area. This is your juncture, your transition.
in English. The camaraderie gives us a like. Indeed,
Hold on.
to supporting me in English, the camaraderie.
That word, in addition to supporting, how about in addition to supporting my English? Is that what you're saying? Or in addition to supporting, you might say, improving my English.
Gives us a like. Indeed, we used to have the same interests.
This is where you're running off a cliff with this one. It's between about 30 and 40 seconds of your speech. It's just the transition from the first idea to the second idea. It's very unclear grammatically or even pronunciation-wise what you're trying to do here. So I'm a little bit confused and lost at about 30 to 40 seconds of the speech.
For example, my friend Brian wants to become a pharmacist, and so do I.
So I'm still not exactly sure about this camaraderie thing. Camaraderie means people have a similar interest and they work together to help each other achieve this same goal, right? So I think you know what the word is, but you had difficulty when you're trying to explain that in the speech itself. So I think that will hurt your score a little bit. So with this one, I think the last 10 or 15 seconds of the speech really caused some trouble in you scoring high on this one. I'm going to put you 2.0 out of 4, 15 points out of 30 on this one. All right, let's go to the last one. Very difficult topic. Compare two schools. Not easy to do. Compare two schools in terms of what, right? Do you want to compare the two schools in terms of their curriculum? Do you want to compare two schools in terms of the qualifications of the teachers who teach there? Do you want to compare two schools in terms of administration? You know, so you have to be careful with this question, Fong. You have to make sure you don't try to compare the two schools to too many different things, because that doesn't give you enough time in the speech to really to develop those ideas. Usually, if you compare the two schools in terms of one basic thing, that's probably going to be a pretty good speech. All right, let's see how you do on this one.
I prefer to study in their school than Ramona one because of the diversity in course list and more social interaction. First,
so the diversity and social interaction, see, that's going to be tough. It's going to be hard for you to compare the two schools with those 2 points in 45 seconds and give examples to help illustrate each one.
there are so many courses in their school that I can choose for my major. Because I want to become a businessman, I will definitely study personal finance and entrepreneur. In addition to,
You might say they're entrepreneurship, maybe, talking about starting a small business like mine. My online TOEFL course is a small business.
diversity of course list, the social interaction is great when studying in their school.
Is great, maybe is greater.
The student clubs where I can meet many students for educational exchanges and tutor are a lot of fun. As a result, I have many friends as my wishes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you really fell off a cliff on this one. This is very tough. Basically, what you're doing here is if you compare the two schools in terms of two key ideas, it's probably better for your organization is mention the first school and mention that school as it relates to the 2 points, then go to the next school and mention that school as it relates to the 2 key points. And that way we can make a decision or we can understand for ourselves how these two schools are similar or how they're different.
I prefer to study in their school than Ramona one because of the
Well, it's not asking you really which school is better. It's asking you to compare the two schools, to discuss how they're similar or how they're different.
diversity in course list and more social interaction. First, there are so many.
So you have this idea, diversity, and you have social interaction.
Courses in their school that I can choose for my major. Because I want to become a businessman, I will definitely study personal finance and entrepreneur. In addition to the diversity of course list, the social interaction is great when studying in their school. The
What school?
student
Which school are
clubs
you
where
talking
I can
about
meet
here?
many.
This is what's throwing me off. You have school A, you have school B. So I'm not exactly sure in the body of the speech which school you're referring to.
Students for educational exchanges and tutor are a lot of fun. As a result, I have many friends as my wishes.
Okay, so this one's not going to work at all. I'll give you a 2.0 out of 4, 15 points out of 30, but this did not work at all. Period. It's no good. So let me give you an idea of what you might do here. So let's talk about two schools. So I'm going to say Cal State University, San Bernardino, and I'm also going to say University, California, Riverside, right? So the question is, compare two schools. I might start my speech something like this. So remember, I'll have the CSUSB and the UCR thing. I might say, recently I've had the chance to attend two different universities. Cal State University, San Bernardino, and University, California, Riverside. These schools are different when it comes to the diversity of the curriculum that they offer to the students. Then I would talk about Cal State University San Bernardino first. I would discuss its curriculum. Maybe it has a limited curriculum. It doesn't offer as many classes. So I mention the curriculum, the different majors, the classes offered to the students. And then I get to UCR and I might say, on the other hand, UCR offers a much broader curriculum and more majors to its students or something. So instead of talking about diversity and social interaction, I might compare the two schools just to the idea of diversity, and it will probably be easier for you to develop the response in 45 seconds if you compare it to just that one idea. So your third response was just not organized very well, right? So I want you to do some homework for me. I want you to go on the internet, go to Google, and type in the Google search, how to write a compare and contrast essay. It'll talk about chunking. It'll talk about sequencing organizational patterns. It'll show you a logical way that you can organize this kind of speech. And I'd like to see you do a little bit of research and homework on how to organize this type of speaking or writing. And then when you come back, and you can try this one more time in a more organized manner. Remember that you could get asked this question not just on TOEFL speaking. You might get this question on the independent writing. You know, compare the advantages of, for example, building a military base. Compare the advantages and disadvantages of building a military base close to your home, and then explain whether or not you would agree with that or something. So, okay, anyway, thank you. So during this particular video, I've gone over, I've given you some comments on 3 different independent speaking practice tests.